This is one of the craziest stories that I've read all year. Trump bans Anthropic basically because they won't budge on how AI is used for autonomous weapons. OpenAI originally stood with Anthropic on this policy, but just hours after Trump announces that he's banning Anthropic from every single federal agency, OpenAI swoops in and says that they made a deal with the Department of War. This is a crazy story that is just now unfolding that's really been bottling up for a couple of weeks now, and I want to try to explain it to you as simple as possible in this video. So this is the post that we end up on today. The United States of America will never allow the radical woke company to dictate how great our military fights and wins wars. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically what I said earlier is the left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. Their selfishness is putting American lives at risk, our troops in danger, and our national security in jeopardy. So the big question is how did we get here? Because it didn't just happen overnight. There's a couple of names I want you to be familiar with before we dive into the storyline. The first is Peter Hegseth. This is the Secretary of Defense or the Department of War leader, and it really all starts with remarks by him in January, but we'll get to that in just a minute. There's also a lot of back and forth between him and this guy named Dario Amati. Dario Amati is the CEO of Anthropic. So you're going to hear these two names a lot going back and forth. And a lot of this can really track back to, again, in January, remarks made by Hegseth, the head of the Department of War. We see right here, the Department of War AI will not be woke. It will work for us. We're building war-ready weapons and systems, not chatbots for an Ivy League faculty lounge. This is really important because, again, this tracks all the way back to January when they are wanting to basically get through Claude's or Anthropic's terms of service, which has like two main restrictions. Number one, no domestic surveillance, so don't use Claude to bulk monitor Americans. And number two, no fully autonomous weapons. A human must be in the loop before lethal force decision. So these are the two guardrails that Anthropic is standing on, and this is what the Secretary of Defense or the Department of War is saying. No, we need this as America. Like on this level, you need to like loosen up. Fast forward about a month later, Hegseth, again, the leader of the Department of War, says to the CEO of Anthropic, yo, come meet us at the Pentagon. He's calling Anthropic CEO Dario Amati to the Pentagon on Tuesday morning to discuss the military use of Claude, according to the reporting of Axios. So this is when things really start heating up, because basically he's saying, look, we need to be able to use this for our military, and you really need to crack on your terms of service for the military. This is when Sean Parnell comes in, which is basically just a Pentagon spokesperson, and he says, look, we're not violating either of your terms. We don't want to use it for mass surveillance of Americans. We don't want to use it for mass war. We're asking to allow the Pentagon to use Anthropic's model for all lawful purposes. This is simple, common sense request that will prevent Anthropic from jeopardizing critical military operations and potentially putting our wayfinders at risk. We will not let any company dictate the terms regarding how we make operational decisions. They have until 5:01 p.m. on Friday to decide. Otherwise, we will terminate our partnership with Anthropic and deem a supply chain risk for the DOW. Again, this was on February 26th. So you kind of see how things started escalating real quickly today on February 27th. So the ball is in Amati's court. You are going to be listed as a threat if you don't put down your defense. He releases a statement off the official Claude Twitter account, which points back to the website. You can read the full statement here. You just go to their Twitter and find it. But basically, he's saying, look, I'm standing firm. I'm not going to budge on the two red lines that we have set. And this is when things really start heating up. And this is when you get to that tweet from Trump, or that, whatever you call it, the True Social from Trump, about what I read at the part of this video. He will not stand down. Amati won't. So we are marking him as a risk. and immediately cease all use of Anthropic technology because he will not gray out this line essentially for the US. And so what happens here is pretty interesting. At this point, and this is another like angle of this. Again, this is back to Peter Hegseth. This week, Anthropic delivered a masterclass in arrogance and betrayal as well, and this was today as well. Our position has never been wavered and will never. The Department of War must have full, unrestricted access to Anthropic's model for every lawful purpose defense of the Republic. Instead, Anthropic and its CEO, Dario, have chosen duplicity cloaked in the sanctimonious rhetoric of effective altruism. They have attempted to strong-arm the United States military into submission, a cowardly act and cooperative virtue signaling the place of Silicon Valley ideology in above American lives. This is where things get even more interesting. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, as you all probably are familiar with, ChatGPT, announces a statement that they have reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified network. In all of our interactions, the DOW displayed a deep respect for our safety and desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. Essentially, Sam Altman, for better or for worse, with OpenAI said, all right, you can have us. We made a deal and we will go through with it. Forget Anthropic. You can use our AI models in order to do whatever you need to do within whatever deals that they made. So OpenAI, at the perfect time when there's a crossroad between the Department of War and Anthropic, came in and made some deal with the Department of War. So you really see two main things. Hold to your principles on what you've created, not back down to anyone, or basically just to comply with the government. I'm not even taking a side in this video. You can allow that to be whatever. I will say at this point, it is true. I don't think the US government was necessarily advocating for autonomous weapons or mass surveillance, but they don't want that restriction, I guess, if the time comes. And right now, those are the principles. The thing is, the scary part is, this might look very different in a few years. This is some of the craziest, most capable technology that we've ever seen. The stakes are getting higher, and the safety first guardrails are falling off. I recently made a video not too long ago about the person that was in charge of Anthropic's guardrails quitting, saying that he basically did not have a good conscience with the way things are going with bioweapons and autonomous technology in these weapons, and he decided he was going to move back to the UK and go off the grid. That was the head of their security guardrails. This is probably something that in early 2026 is a conspiracy, but this could really get out of hand. And let me know what you think about this whole situation. To me, it's absolutely insane. If this was informative to you or you enjoyed it, it was clear, please do all those social media things. Give me a like, give me a follow, share this video with somebody, and I will see you guys next video.